Hey everybody, Aaron Cowan, Sage Dynamics. This week I am out in California at Agency Arms headquarters with Mike Parks.
Hi, I'm Mike Parks with Agency Arms.
Yeah, and I just said that.
Yes, sir.
Right. I'm out here to teach some classes, but I'm hanging out with Agency Arms. As some of you may know, I'm sponsored by Agency Arms. What you may not know is how that came to be and why I chose Agency as the gun that I'm not only going to trust to teach with, but I'm going to trust in my everyday life. My everyday EDC is an Agency Arms gun, and there's a reason for that, which we're going to kind of get into. Mike, tell me about the company.
Well, basically started off in just a working relationship that we met a while back, my partner Randy and I. Mm-hmm. He's been doing a lot of different parts for a lot of different companies.
Okay.
And actually does a lot of stuff for the movie industry, as well as like shifters for the automotive industry and all kinds of stuff like that. So he's been doing machining parts for about 20 years.
Okay.
Then I've been, did my military time, a couple pumps, been a cop for about 7 years now.
Okay.
Started doing some consulting with other companies, decided, why don't we just do this on our own?
Yeah,
we started meeting some other people that just came on board and just kind of evolved from there.
Yeah, and our relationship began when I was sent an Agency gun to do a review on. You guys watch the channel, I do firearms reviews, I try to make my reviews as realistic as possible. A lot of things about the Agency gun really impressed me. The craftsmanship, the workmanship, and there were some definitely value-added parts. From recent videos I've talked about those high-functioning problems. Someone just getting into shooting may not be able to appreciate those high-functioning problems because they haven't advanced in their skill set to that level yet. But as a shooter, the more you advance, the better you get. You're going to get to a certain point where there are modifications that can be made to the firearm, be it pistol or rifle, that can improve your shooting performance. And the one thing I appreciated about the Agency gun, the two things that always stood out to me were the trigger. The trigger is very unique. I like the trigger a lot. Short pull, short reset, real crisp reset. It's a very consistent trigger. And the accelerator pad allows me to apply downward pressure to the gun, which allows me to shoot faster. Those two features, along with the ridiculous durability of the gun, because some aftermarket guns, they're race guns. They run really well, but when you start introducing foreign media into them, debris, dirt, mud, what have you, they start to break down, or maybe they're finicky about the ammo they like.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of those problems with the way you guys build guns. Now, why is that? What do you do that keeps a lot of that stock reliability?
Well, it's just not messing with what the Glock is known for. So the reason that we reached out to you is because of how you do your reviews. You beat the living crap out of things, but not making the gun purposely going to shut down. You can pack it full of grit and dirt, and it's obviously not going to work.
Oh yeah, you can break anything if you make the test harder.
Exactly. So in a realistic scenario, it did fall in mud. You walked over top of it. Mm-hmm. You buried it. Stuff that it can happen. Things can happen. The gun could fall out during some type of situation, whatever.
Yeah.
But the non-biased, no bullshit approach that you have is exactly why we wanted to get a gun in your hands. So we could also get some T&E on our equipment and make sure that we're doing things right. So the reason that we build it that way is we don't want to ruin what the Glock is known for.
Yeah.
It's reliable, it's durable, and you can count on it. So the only internal parts that we modify or replace are the trigger shoe with ours. Mm-hmm. We then modify the trigger bar. Mm-hmm. We change some angles. We change some angles. We restone, surface, and angle some parts of the trigger bar. Polish up the connections between the sear and the striker, the plunger safety, but then all those springs are completely stock, and we use a factory minus connector.
Yeah.
Reason for that, they're all factory parts. We know they're going to work before we mess with them. We know they're going to work after we mess with them, because all we're doing is polishing and slight tuning on the bar.
Definitely.
So everything that the Glock is known for is intact, and the meat and potatoes of it really truly in that fire control system.
Yeah, definitely.
So we replaced the guide rod recoil spring because it's always nice to get rid of that plastic piece of junk. Mm-hmm. Springing is actually almost completely similar to stock. Some we run 17s, some we run 18s, 34s we run 15s, but relatively they're mostly close to stock poundage. So we try and keep the gun as intended it was from the factory as we can, while enhancing what we can.
Yeah. Glock's thing is Glock perfection.
Yeah.
And they're not far off. Everybody knows I am partial to Glocks. I'm a huge Glock fan. I believe in Glocks. I've trusted my life to Glocks. I'll continue to do so. I love Glock as a teaching platform. I believe as a striker-fired firearm, it has a very short learning curve for new shooters, and it's a really excellent self-defense weapon as well as a duty weapon, depending on what your weapon is needed for, which firearm is needed for. But there are certain things about the Glock that could be improved. When you mass produce something, you're going to go for the lowest common denominator of functionality. And when I say that, Glock has gone for the lowest common denominator of functionality with an eye towards performance. The gun performs, it works, it's going to work, it's going to continue to work. As long as you take at least a little bit of care of it, it's going to function correctly, it's going to function consistently and accurately. But the parts, there are some things that can always be improved, and you guys improved what needed to be improved, and you left the rest alone, which is something I definitely appreciate.
Yeah, and that's one thing is we never wanted to overcomplicate the pistol when it came to performance. It's good. The gun's going to run fine. That's why we don't replace barrel standard. We don't recoat barrel standard. It's not going to change anything. That polygonal rifling in the factory barrel is actually extremely accurate.
Oh, definitely.
So, as in your video, pinging that 8x8" piece of steel at 100 yards.
Yeah. The gun's accurate. The gun's usually going to be more, and it's a cliche. The gun's going to be more accurate than the shooter, which is true depending on the firearm. There's a lot of human subjectivity that goes into accuracy. The guns are inherently accurate. We have to do our part, but you can get to a high functioning problem where you're out shooting your gun. And there are advancements and improvements that can be made to a firearm. Now, some things are going to be aesthetic. You guys know that there are some aesthetic features. You don't have to put the agency A on the slide, but you do because that's your brand, that's your logo, that's what you're known by. People recognize that. It's a good thing. But I would say, just looking at the gun, that's the only feature that's really aesthetically minded. Everything else, even if it has an aesthetic appeal, is functional.
Yes.
Which I can't get enough of that. That's awesome.
Yeah, the front cock serrations, we tri-tier, so there's a lot of serration, a lot of grippiness. If you use forward cock serrations, and not a big user of those. Side panels, weight reduction makes it shoot flatter. Windows, on the window models, everything's a balancing act, and that's why we have 3 versions. The field models, like you and I carry, have no windows. Then we have Urban that tries super fast, it's great. Then we have the RMR specific one, which runs the most balanced portion, which is that hybrid model. So everything is built purpose, and they're all the same price because it's just a different program of the CNC machine, which is really the only truly difference between that. So there's no sense in changing the cost between them either. So cost efficiency on how we charge these, I mean, you get a lot of bang for your buck for what we charge.
Yeah, one of the senses I've got just going around the shop, watching Randy, watching the machines work, watching everything happen is everything's done for a reason, and everything has a lot of history behind it. It's not like you guys said, well, this would look cool, let's go ahead and program the machine and cut the gun to look like this. There were distinct decisions made on every single piece of the gun modification saying, okay, this may be aesthetically cool, but is it going to increase the functionality of the weapon? Because if you're going to charge money, let's be honest, if you're going to charge somebody money to get their gun from stock Glock to agency, field edition, urban edition, hybrid edition, whatever, what's the value added? And I like the fact that there's a lot of engineering behind every decision's made, from the frame to the slide to the way things are done. Just the workflow process out there is impressive because everything's done with a mind towards precision, but it's moving fast. People are getting their guns back quick, which is super important.
Yeah, we've been really trying to keep those ETAs down. We tripled our staff since January. We're about to hire a 9th person, so that is exactly tripling our staff from January. ETAs have been pushed out just about a couple weeks, but we're trying to get back down to 6 to 9 again.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Well, yeah, it's tough though. This is not exactly something that just anybody can do. So getting the training right and getting the quality sign off by the people that we've had as our core people from the beginning to sign off on these newer people is a steep learning curve. And we try and keep this as a very family environment. And it's as everyone around at least seems, it's a pretty good place to work, and we're pretty happy to be here.
Yeah, that's definitely the feel I get. It's a very family-oriented environment. I know when you guys approached me at SHOT Show and asked me to become an agency shooter, I mean, I had a couple stipulations. I didn't want to have to do sales pitches at classes, which you were totally fine with. You just said, hey, shoot our guns if you like them. If you don't like them, stop shooting, which I definitely appreciate from an industry standpoint. I thought that was really awesome that you guys had that family mentality when it comes to the approach and just everything in general about the company. And of course, for full disclosure, I am an agency-sponsored instructor, but I'm not just standing here filming this video to say, hey, agency is the coolest thing ever, you should run out and buy one. I'm trying to give you guys an inside window of how one of those custom handgun manufacturers does business, why they do business, and the kind of mentality that's behind the company. So if you are in the market for an aftermarket Glock modification, you want to improve not only the aesthetics, but the performance and the reliability, the accuracy, consistency. Agency does things in my experience, a little bit different than some of the other companies out there, which is one of the reasons why I think we have such a good relationship, is because even though you're like my sponsor, I don't have to be like, oh, I need to call Mike, or I'm wondering when I'm going to be able to talk to Mike. I can't reach out to Mike. I got to email Mike. He's not going to call me back. He's not going to email me back. I'm going to have to wait. Like, I can call you, FaceTime you, and be like, hey, what's up, dude?
Yeah.
And that is pretty awesome, and it's becoming more of a rarity as the firearms industry gets more and more corporate.
Yeah. And that's what we're trying to, make sure that always stays a staple of how we do business.
Yeah.
Our customer service has always been the forefront, making sure that no one's forgotten. We treat everybody we want to bring them into not just owning our product, we want to bring it into a community.
Yeah. So I think you definitely have a really good model for that.
Yeah, we send out agent cards to everybody when they make a purchase of a full build. It brings them in. We also have incentives on discounts for when people have multiple builds. We also have a first responders discount for the guys out there.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, and it's not just limited to just law enforcement, just military, it's first responders.
Yeah, anybody in the public service, first responder, somebody qualified for that, EMS, paramedics, everything like that, which is awesome, because those same people can get a discount on a Glock, the blue label purchase, and then send it to you, get another discount. So it's kind of giving back to guys that usually don't make a whole lot of money.
Yes.
Comparatively speaking to some other jobs. What's next for agency?
We got a lot of stuff in the works.
Yeah. What can you talk about?
So we've got a couple unique designs for some Glock stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, I saw a little bit of that, and I got rushed out of the room.
Yeah. Yeah, we're working on that. Gen 4 magwells are right around the corner.
Can't wait.
The 19 Gen 4 is complete. We're just finishing building them. They're going off to anodize very soon here so that we can actually put them out there. But, it's not like I can say it'll be 4 days.
But it's coming.
Yeah, we're right now, because we ran out of Gen 3 17 magwells, so we've just churned out like 800 magwells.
Yeah.
Between 19s and 17 Gen 3s and Gen 4 19.
Yeah.
So Gen 4 17's on its way. And then we're going to be looking into some base pads, some other accessories, some slides, some new slides maybe.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
And then we were hoping to get a lot more done as quickly as we could. It's just sadly the way things work.
Yeah.
MMPs are probably going to be happening next year.
Okay.
Realistically speaking, so we don't want to break hearts, but it'll most likely be next year before the.
Well, you got to make sure it's right before you start doing them.
Exactly, and we've already prototyped 2 of them.
Yeah. I saw them. They're beautiful guns.
Yeah.
But as you said to me, they're not ready.
Nope.
You're not ready to start doing MMPs, because if somebody sends an MMP into you, you want to make sure that you already have everything perfect before you start producing those for people.
Yeah, and the trigger system hasn't even started yet.
Yeah.
So it's just, we've done the slides kind of here and there, just trying to figure out things, and what we've got is a basic structure of what we're going to do for the slide work, and we're pretty happy with that. But now we got to, dive full blower into the trigger system, and then the magwells, base plates, the whole 9 yards that goes with the whole next monster.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I appreciate you having me out here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate letting me coming by, seeing how things are done, everything like that. And again, I want to just put this video out there to show you guys, because I've had questions, emails, and people talk to me on the range and during classes and things like that, why I chose agency, why I went with agency, why I agreed to represent agency as an instructor along with Aaron Brumley and Paul Van Dunk. And it really comes down to quality craftsmanship and just the family environment, the fact that I can reach out and talk to you, I can bounce ideas off you, and we can work together instead of me just being somebody you can use to promote your business.
Yeah.
We help each other out.
Yeah.
So I just want to kind of give guys an idea out there of what goes on at Agency Arms. I know this isn't our normal video where I'm running, shooting, teaching, putting out knowledge, but I think it's a good thing to put out because it gives you guys a look inside another gun company, which is awesome. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely, man.
Everybody, Aaron Cowan, Sage Dynamics, Mike with Agency, train accordingly. All right, so here we go. So I'm gonna do the intro. Mike, what are you doing?
Looking cool.